ये पीपीटी लगा दिया कि नहीं लगा? Hi all of you. Good afternoon. Am I audible to all of you? Deepak, Asutosh, Priyanka, Anurag, hi, good afternoon. Fine. Thanks for joining in. Good afternoon. Audible? Nice, very nice. Okay. So, the current affairs session for today, and just to quickly update you guys, we have these sessions on Fridays, and we try keeping it around 1:30 or 2 o'clock types. There are always some adjustments here, and Devender sir is the person, but today's session I am taking. So the reason ये है, there are 2-3 topics that we have as a part of geography and environment concepts. So El Nino का कुछ है, कुछ about Manipur है, some topics related to industries भी है, okay? So some geography is there. Starting next week, we'll do some changes. Current affairs, how we'll integrate, and more importantly, what should be the frequency of your study. Current affair, I think, is studied in a very wrong way, to some extent. If not wrong, at least I think that is not easily adaptable. And like I insist on, okay, you must make notes. Yesterday we had a workshop that Satyam was sharing his approach of study. So वैसे कुछ हम change करेंगे इसमें. So hopefully by next week I'll let you know, and for current affairs I'll have an open session. We had one a couple of weeks ago, how to read articles. So sometime next week I'll let you know, probably 20th or 21st or 22nd. One of those days I'll have the session, and I intend to have that session at least twice a month, ताकि आपको current affairs का coverage should be on track. Okay, so just briefing you on that. So, and all of you not aware of, आपका 3 sources I'll recommend for all of you. One is the Gazette. The Gazette is a daily publication from Edukemy. This is in the resource page. In the resource page, current affairs के नाम से tab होगा. On daily basis, we summarize current affairs. एक और publication है called as Cosmos. Cosmos is also current affairs. This is fortnightly for geography and environment. Okay, and I would want कि आप दोनों free है. Both are free resources. Both are on the Edukemy website. Okay, you can find your own ways of how to manage this, but आप okay environment पे कर सकते हो depend, and of course Gazette. The third is YouTube. YouTube, Edukemy's YouTube channel, and lately I have started 2 initiatives. एक कल परसों live हो जाएगा, where we'll discuss through questions, and of course I am dealing with some topics of depth. So in next 2-3 days, you'll have some discussions on cyclones. Even Manipur topic I've discussed a bit more lucidly. Now, one of the things you must learn, all of you, is that current affairs mein, there are issues in news, plus these are leads to study, okay, other related issues. होता क्या बहुत बार, while we make notes of जो न्यूज में है, न्यूज में क्या है, probably say Pakistan's rights and Imran Khan arrest है, that's in news. But the related developments are issues about how does Pakistan's status impact South Asian security? Or how will that impact maybe the constitution and the agenda under SCO? हम वो पार्ट छोड़ देते हैं. न्यूज में है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मणिपुर, okay, but related है, Supreme Court said something. The High Court has no power to direct the government to notify a tribe under scheduled tribes. तो उसमें कहीं ना कहीं रोल ऑफ हाई कोर्ट आ गया, रोल ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट आ गया, व्हाट द प्रोसेस ऑफ नोटिफिकेशन वो आ जाएगा. सो व्हाइल मणिपुर न्यूज में है, शायद इन द क्वेश्चन यू मे नॉट बी आस्क्ड मणिपुर डायरेक्टली, कुछ और पूछ देगा आपको. सो यू मस्ट हैव दिस आर्ट. Okay, so mistakes that we make is while we read current affairs, we miss out on this part. ये बहुत important है. In fact, you'll realize most questions are from this part, not directly what's in news. Okay, they ask you the related concepts and they go fairly deep here. And to do this, you must learn the art. Learn the art of developing insights into current affairs. If you always depend on कि सर पढ़ाएंगे और सर बताएंगे and that's enough, ऐसा नहीं है. But yes, initially maybe for a couple of months, 1 or 2 months, you be with us. But thereafter, once I have taught you, I'll expect कि आप जाके तो और extra पढ़ें उस पे, as and when time permits. Okay, and one more mistake students do in current affairs is that they think today's news must be covered today itself. This unnecessarily puts burden on your preparation also. So there is a news, okay, news A, okay, news B, news C, news D, news E. What you do is, these are the news of 12th of May. You try to cover all of this today itself. Then the next day, there is news E, there is news F, news G, H. आप चाहते हैं सारा आप कल ही कर लेना. This is wrong because this A, news आज है, maybe an important development happens on the 4th day. तो यहाँ पर भी A है. But this A and this is A plus. So you have made note of A here and then you realize कि ये इतना important नहीं है, ये ज़्यादा important है. You have taken up news B and then you realize that ये शायद important है ही नहीं. And you made a note here. Okay. Sometimes this D continues for 5-6 days and this totality is more important than just this one. So when you make notes on daily basis, you have this problem. What you should do is, you must read the articles of the previous weeks. Say this is the month of May, this is week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3, this is week 4. A smart one will be कि second week के end में, Sunday में, आप first week का cover करो. And I'll suggest, it's not wrong, अगर आप second week में शायद month of April के last week में cover करो. What happens then is, you have a sense of how things are developing. Okay, so we will develop this in some way, and end of that you'll realize that doing this on a weekly basis of compilation, your burden on daily basis is less. And this problem of what source to read, see, you have to limit your source to maximum 1 or 2 sources. Current affair is something you can never have satisfaction of complete coverage. वो हो ही नहीं सकता. There's always something left out. So don't try to cover everything. आप फंस जाओगे. A sense of appreciation होना चाहिए, and limit yourself to 1 or 2 sources that you think are genuinely relevant for you. So यही method हम approach develop करेंगे, and इससे ज़्यादा important एक और component है that you have to develop the art of reading and comprehending on your own. When you have articles, the news issues are not just the developments, but sometimes there are some wisdom issues also. You must read and understand that. Okay, so I'll come back afterwards on all of that. This is the objective. Give us 1 week, 10 days. I'll modify this for you and you can stay with us for that. let's start off the developments of last 2-3 weeks. Mein. So the first current affair for today is El Nino. So some of you have done this topic with me in class. Others who have not joined us earlier, joined to today. I'll give you a brief idea. Okay, but El Nino can be asked in different ways. Okay, so what is El Nino? Okay, and please keep writing as I speak. I know Devinder sir does his study through PPTs. I am not a big fan of PPT. Okay, इसका reason है मुझे चाहिए कि आप लोग अपने हाथ से लिखें. PPT is a smart way of maybe spreading information, but a bad way of studying. ठीक है, हम PPT दिखा देंगे आपको, बन चुके हैं. But I want कि आप लिखो what I am teaching you. Okay, so El Nino is also what's called as ENSO. ENSO is El Nino Southern Oscillations. Okay, El Nino is ENSO. El Nino is a phenomena of which ocean? Okay, wrong. It's a phenomena of all oceans. But it is more noticeable in Southern Pacific. ये El Nino Atlantic Ocean में भी होता है. El Nino Indian Ocean में भी है. We have something called as Indian Ocean El Nino. Okay. It's a phenomena of North Pacific, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, but the more noticeable one, the more in news is the Southern Pacific phenomena. What happens in El Nino is, आप बस ये याद रखो, if this is the equator and this is your Southern Pacific, I'm showing you in a schematic way. ये अगर equator है और ये Southern Pacific है, say this is the continent of South Africa and this is the continent of Australia. Okay, so South America, sorry, continent of South America, and this is the continent of Australia. In El Nino, what happens is there is warming of the western waters of Southern Pacific. There is warming. El Nino, what happens is there is warming. Keep writing, please. Warming of the southern waters of Western Pacific. There is warming. There's warming of the waters along the coast of Peru. Warming of the southern waters of Western Pacific. There is warming of the waters of the Peru coast. Peru and Chile. यहाँ पर दो countries हैं. There is a country called as Peru here, or south में a country called as Chile here. CHILE, and this is Peru. So इसके coast में there is some warming of the waters. या तो ये लिखो, or you can say, or you can say that there is relative cooling. There is relative cooling of the southern waters of Eastern Pacific. एक ही बात है. या तो आप बोल लो कि this water gets warm, okay, or say this water gets relatively cooler. Relative warming of the western waters बोलो, okay. I'm sorry. Warming of southern waters of, okay, मेरा east west गड़बड़ है यार, I'm sorry. Okay, southern waters of Eastern Pacific. Relative warming of southern waters in the Eastern Pacific, or relative cooling of southern waters of Western Pacific. So this gets relatively cooler. This is western side, and this gets relatively warmer. This is the eastern side. Is ocean ka, this is the east and this is the west. Okay, you remember this for now. Yes, Mohammed, right? You got it. Okay. Achha, now the consequence of El Nino is there are floods on the South American Pacific coast. There is heavy rains. There are floods and heavy rains in the South American Pacific coast. Okay, this warming, it reduces the fishing of the Peru coast. This warming reduces the fishing of the Peru coast. Okay, plus there are droughts. Okay, there are forest fires. Okay, in Australia, the forest fires in Indonesia. There are forest fires in Indonesia. Okay, so come back to diagram here. यहाँ पर water gets a bit warm and this area receives more rain. Okay, warm waters, low pressure, air is rising and will have rainfall here. This water becomes relatively cooler. There is sinking air and this becomes more and more dry. This area will start having forest fires. Okay, El Nino, okay, how it impacts Southern Pacific. I suppose most of you know this. Okay, अब आप कहाँ फंसोगे is if I ask you, what is the impact of El Nino, okay, in South Asia, which is India, Pakistan, what happens in Sri Lanka, what happens in Myanmar. So South Asia में क्या impact बताओ El Nino का? And I'm talking about El Nino of the Pacific Ocean. Impact is what? South Asia will have droughts. South Asia will have droughts. Okay, this also you know. So 2023 is considered as, this might be an El Nino year. Okay, so India might witness a decline in rains for this year. It might witness a decline in the rains this year. And this El Nino year is coming after what's called as triple dip, okay, La Nina. It's coming, okay, after what's called as the triple dip La Nina. Triple dip La Nina का मतलब होता है, we have had 3 consecutive years of La Nina phenomena. ये ऐसा बहुत रेयर है. Okay, 2022, 2021, 2020 ये 3 साल लगातार we had La Nina formation. And La Nina में क्या होता है? South Asia will receive good rains. South Asia will receive good rains. So it becomes significant. So after 3 years of good rains, good monsoons, it helped our agriculture was among the most best performing sectors after pandemic. The pandemic khatam hua and the economy is reviving. Even during pandemic, for that matter, to some extent, agriculture is the best performing sector of all the sectors. Agriculture mein best growth tha. We were reviving rural economy very well. So now it might impact our agriculture adversely. Okay, so El Nino is now a concern. ठीक है, ये news में है, know this. Now इससे link करके, I'll ask some questions now. Tell me now, El Nino में, in El Nino, okay, what happens to tropical cyclones, okay, in Indian Ocean? Okay, Indian Ocean, talking about Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens to tropical cyclones in Indian Ocean? So El Nino में क्या होगा? The waters become warm. Okay, waters become warming relatively. Okay, so in El Nino we can have increased frequency of tropical cyclones. We can have increased frequency of tropical cyclones. Acha. What happens to the rains in Eastern Africa, which is also called as the Horn of Africa? ये term सुना आपने, Horn of Africa? This is the African bulge. Okay, this is Egypt. यहाँ पर आपका Egypt है, Ethiopia है. This is called as the Horn of Africa. Which countries make up the Horn of Africa? Which countries make up Horn of Africa? Okay, Somalia, Okay, Somalia, Ethiopia, Ethiopia, ये सोमालिया है, यहाँ पे इथियोपिया है, Ethiopia. Then we have okay Djibouti, Djibouti, D-J-I-B-O-U-T-I, Djibouti. What else? We can also include Eritrea. Eritrea. This is called as the Horn of Africa. यहाँ पर सोमालिया है, जिस कॉर्नर में जिबूती है, ये इथियोपिया है, अथवा ऊपर में यहाँ पर इरिटेरिया है. Okay, and below this we also have the country called Kenya. ठीक है, अभी आप इतना याद रखो. The Horn of Africa is this. So what happens because of El Nino in the Horn of Africa? Horn of Africa में you will have okay good rains. Horn of Africa will receive good rains. South Asia receives bad rains. Horn of Africa will receive good rains. Okay, what happens to hurricanes? What happens hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean? Like, it'll again increase. In general, remember, अगर आपको guess लगाना है, El Nino में in general the waters become warm. In general. So hurricanes are one type of cyclones of Atlantic Ocean along the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean will also increase. What happens to the rains in Central Asia? What happens in Central Asia? Central Asia will also have relatively better rains. Uska reason hai, there's some impact of the upper tropospheric winds. There's impact of upper tropospheric winds. Okay, aloft, ऊपर में कुछ jet streams आते हैं. Those frequency increases. तो अगर आपको याद रखना है, in general अगर पूछेंगे ना, अगर याद रखना है, remember, El Nino, in general is the condition of the opposites. In general, ये उल्टा होने वाला है. Okay, Australia has good rains, it will go dry. Peru has less rains, it will have more rainfall. Monsoon area in general has good rains, it will have less rainfall. I hope you got the point here. अगर आपको thumb rule रखना है, okay, sometimes you never know what they can ask you. Okay, I mean, not as a rule, but in general याद रखना है. Remember, El Nino is a year of opposites. सब उल्टा होगा. Okay, and that's why I said it's a God thing. The God thing, so El Nino means little boy or child Christ. God is playing a role and something gets disrupted here. So in general, Central Asia is dry area. Central Asia has droughts. But जब El Nino होगा, यहाँ पर rain थोड़ा better हो जाएगा. उसका reason क्या है? Some upper tropospheric winds will start impacting. Okay, so ये वाला catch part है. Okay, ये जो list है. Okay, what happens where? Most of us know the impact on South Asia. We may not know the impact elsewhere. Yes. बता सकते हैं, but आप लोग सुनने के लायक हैं कि नहीं, वो important है. Don't generalize. I know you'll have a reason there. देखो, why? If you understand, good. Otherwise, ignore करना. ठीक है? We'll attempt it. So this is South Asia, Thailand, Myanmar, Madagascar. Okay? So what happens? Answer I'm answering कि Horn of Africa में क्यों rainfalls relatively बढ़ जाता है. See, बढ़ जाता does not mean okay, एकदम rainfall of crazy number, ऐसा नहीं है. It's all relative. जहाँ कम होना चाहिए वहाँ बढ़ जाता है, जहाँ होना चाहिए वहाँ कम जाता है. Okay? So we have, in general, what we have is, देखो, the winds in this part, in general, okay, this is an area of high pressure. The winds are moving, okay, like this, and they turn. There's something called as ITCZ. ITCZ is a belt of low pressure. So approximately जो ITCZ है, वो सोचो कि उसका कुछ ऐसे shape है. Okay, a bit more. Imagine the ITCZ का shape जो है, approximately कुछ ऐसे shape है. Approximately. Okay. So what happens is, this is low pressure, this is low pressure, this is low pressure. So winds जो आती हैं, the winds they cross equator and they're moving towards low pressure. So they are moving like this, they are moving like this, they are moving like this and like this. यहाँ पर भी they are moving like this, they are moving like this, and they're coming like this in general. So imagine, say there are 20 units of wind coming. Okay, इस 20 units में क्या है? So 10 units of wind coming. ये तो आ ही रहे हैं. When they're coming, what happens is the bulk of the winds they move toward this part. यहाँ पर. So maybe this part has maybe 15 units of wind, and the wind coming on this side probably is say 3 units, and some winds come here maybe 2 units. I'm just giving a random number. Okay, so let me say 20 units. 20 units mein, the bulk of the winds come towards South Asia, India here. Some winds can go also here, and some wind come here. So El Nino mein kya hota hai? The winds coming towards this, they become less. So rather than coming towards this, the winds they turn towards this. तो यहाँ पर 3 होना चाहिए, पर यहाँ पर शायद 5 आ गया. यहाँ पर 15 होना चाहिए, ये शायद घट के 8 हो गया. Does it make sense now, all of you? This is the system. In general, the winds are moving like this. The winds are coming on this side in general. That's why this area receives more rain. But when El Nino happens, okay, for some mechanism, ये high pressure का important role है. Just thinking about Tibet also coming and pushing like this. This part becomes weak. When this part becomes weak, the wind starts coming on this side. This is like, think of a large drain. Okay, this is a smaller drain. Okay, and there was some water coming like this. अब क्या हुआ? पानी जब आ रहा है, यहाँ ज्यादा पानी, यहाँ कम पानी है. For whatever reasons, ये शायद block हो गया. जब ये block हो गया, you can realize most water now comes like this. So think on those lines. So Horn of Africa in general has less rainfall compared to South Asia. El Nino mein, this becomes weak. Okay, because this becomes weak, there's diversion of some amount of air towards Horn of Africa. That's why Horn of Africa or India ka ek type ka relationship, seesaw phenomena is happening here also. When the winds are moving strong like this, India will receive good rains. When this becomes weak, this area will have more rainfall. Fine here? We'll leave it at this one. Iske beyond, you require something more about how the whole thing operates. ठीक है? So आप बस याद रखो these things. Okay, where is in general we have impact. What happens to tropical cyclones? What happens to East Africa? What happens to parts of Americas, hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean, and what happens to Central Asia? अच्छा, एक और इससे concept related है. Okay, is the Indian Ocean El Nino. This is different from what I told you right now. What I said right now is an El Nino of Southern Pacific. उसका impact India में है. Okay. What I'm talking about till now was the El Nino phenomena of Southern Pacific. We talked about in the Southern Pacific. यहाँ पर main होता है. इसका impact is on India. Its impact is Horn of Africa. But what I'm saying is, I also have another type of a modification called as Indian Ocean El Nino. Okay, in short, is also called as the Indian Ocean Dipole phenomena. It's also called as Indian Ocean Dipole phenomena. Dipole का मतलब है some two polarities, high pressure, low pressure on the Indian Ocean. ठीक है? Now what happens in the dipole is this is an interaction between the Western Indian Ocean waters, which is essentially the Arabian Sea, and the Eastern Indian Ocean waters, which is essentially the Bay of Bengal. One type of relationship we have between the Western Indian Ocean waters. So this is Africa, Arabia, this is India, equator. I'm talking about Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean ka, this is the western part. Okay, this is the eastern part. I'm ignoring southern hemisphere for now. So the Western Indian Ocean is Arabian Sea. The eastern part is Bay of Bengal. ये अरेबियन सी है और ये बे ऑफ बंगाल है. इनके बीच में एक रिलेशनशिप है. Okay, this is the dipole. One pole is Arabian Sea, one pole is the Bay of Bengal. In relationship क्या होता है? Generally, the Bay of Bengal waters, these are warmer, relative to the Arabian Sea. ये जनरल में होता है. The Bay of Bengal waters are relatively warmer than the Arabian Sea. Okay, the Bay of Bengal coast, therefore, the Bay of Bengal का जो coast है, this receives more rains. Okay, parts of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Bengal, Myanmar, Thailand. This area receives more rains than much of Arabian Sea. The Bay of Bengal is warmer. It receives more rains. And when I say Bay of Bengal, I am also including the Bay of Bengal. Or rather, when I'm saying East Indian Ocean, I am also including the western coasts of Australia. I'm also including the western coast of Australia. Okay, the relationship between the western Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, and the eastern Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, plus also the west coast of Australia. Okay, so if I draw this again, that's Africa, Arabia, that's India, that's Thailand and Myanmar, and this is Australia, Indonesia. So what we're discussing what happens here with what's happening in this part. What's happening here with what's happening here. So I'm comparing the conditions here with the condition here and also parts of Australia. Inka relationship hai. In general, I'm saying that this part is warmer than this part. Okay. So in general, the Bay of Bengal coast and the Western Australia receive more rains than the Arabian Sea. In general, the Bay of Bengal coast and the Western Australia, this receives more rains compared to the Arabian Sea coast because ये warm है. Water will rise here. ठीक है? But there are reverses in condition. There are some reversals of condition. ये ठीक उल्टा हो जाएगा. This area will become dry and this area will have more rainfall. Okay, there is a seesaw going on. This is cool, this is warm, change हो जाएगा. This becomes warm, this becomes cold. Again change हो जाएगा. This becomes warm, this becomes cold. So this swing keeps on happening. This is called as the Indian Ocean dipole. There are reversals in the conditions of rain in Arabia, in Arabian Sea and parts of Bay of Bengal. ठीक है? ये जो reversals हैं, this is the El Nino swing. In the reversal, let's remember this. There is a positive phase and there is a negative phase. Okay, positive phase में क्या है? The western coasts of India receive more rains and Australia west coast is drier. Positive में क्या है? The western coast of India receives more rain and Australia is dry. In the negative phase, the west coast of India is relatively drier and Australian west coast receives more rain. In the negative phase, the west coast of India becomes drier, okay, and Australia coast receives more rain. Is it okay, all of you? ये swing को बोलते हैं the Indian Ocean El Nino or the Indian Ocean dipole phenomena. All fine here? Okay. Now, if I ask a question, El Nino agar hoga, so on India what do we have? If I have El Nino in India, what do we have? I will have dry conditions, I will have droughts. When El Nino, okay, if I have the positive IOD, इसमें क्या होगा? There will be rains. Which of this is more powerful? Generally, ये ज़्यादा powerful होता है. So El Nino year में, when I must have dry, but अगर positive IOD हो गया, I will have rains. ये 2-3 बार इंडिया में हो चुका है. The IMD said El Nino, we're expecting less rains, but then positive IOD sets in. It sets in, I can have more rains. So El Nino जो है, it is one of the factors. Okay, I hope you got the point here. It is one of the factors. It can be countered by other factors also. So every El Nino, we may not have less rains. Agar that year has, okay, compensation because of the positive IOD. वैसे अगर La Nina है मेरे पास, what I will expect is, I'll expect more rains. But अगर La Nina के साथ में negative IOD हो गया, तब क्या होने वाला है? Less rains. Remember this, all of you. All fine? This was a question asked. Okay. This was a question asked in 2017 में question था. With reference to, I can I think we put these things on your platform eventually. Yeah, this is the question we have. With reference to Indian Ocean dipole, sometimes mentioned in the news while forecasting Indian monsoon, which the following is correct. Okay. IOD phenomena is characterized by difference in sea temperature between tropical western and tropical eastern Pacific Ocean. Right or wrong? Wrong. This is about, okay, Indian Ocean. The Western Indian Ocean and Eastern Indian Ocean. Okay. An IOD phenomena can influence El Nino impact monsoon. Correct. ठीक है. आप एक तो शायद you may not know the concept, and if you know, you can make a mistake here in Ocean and Pacific Ocean. जल्दबाजी में एक अभी जल जाएगा, सब पता होगा, लिख के आएंगे कुछ और. उसको बोलते हैं किस्मत. Which I call as silly mistakes. ठीक है? The 2000 question, this was one of. Okay? Fine. So back again. All good here, all of you? El Nino, La Nina is done? Okay. Now while I'm discussing this, I will add one more concept here. It's a linked है और काफी न्यूज में रहती हैं. Something called as MJO. Okay. Madden Julian oscillation. There is a tendency to read this as Madden. Okay, ये Madden है. Okay, so Julian, okay, Madam नहीं है, Julian mad हो चुके हैं. Okay, so Madden, MADDEN, oscillation, MJO बोलते हैं. MJO is also one type of a circulation. I'll not go details. Just know that Madden Julian का भी एक positive phase है. It's also called as enhanced phase. Okay, and there is a negative phase, which is called as the depressed phase. ठीक है? There's an enhanced phase and a depressed phase. और एक neutral भी आता है बीच में. Ignore that. Enhanced phase में I will again have rains. Depressed phase में I will have, okay, dry conditions. So El Nino में अगर आपका positive phase आ गया, again you'll have rains. So El Nino is not the only factor. Remember this. Indian monsoons are very complex. Indian monsoons are not simple surface wind. जिसमें बहुत सारे complexities हैं. Yes, Vishal, correct. Roland Madden and Paul Julian, correct. Okay. इसका location generally, Priyanka, MGO is a phenomena of the tropical latitudes impacting more southern tropics. But कभी-कभी ये northern tropics में impact करता है. It's a tropical phenomena. This is actually more of a tropical phenomena, and it impacts Pacific regions more. But sometimes it can impact South Asia also. That's all. I'll not go into deeper beyond this. Okay? So with El Nino, agar positive phase ho gaya, again I will have rains. I'll again have rains. Yeah? MGO and IOD. Okay. I think depends on which of them is stronger. I can't make a prediction here. I've not heard about both happening together. It's our development last 10-15 साल में हुआ है, but most of them coincide with El Nino. Okay, the question, what happens if I've got IOD and Madden together? I don't have an example for. I can only guess what may happen. Okay, but we don't have examples that I can discuss. Fine, all of you? Okay, so that takes care of El Nino phenomena. Right then, the next topic. अच्छा, इसमें एक related concept है. You should know a bit more about World Meteorological Organization. Just some facts. World Meteorological Organization. It is a specialized agency of the UN. It is the specialized agency of the UN. Okay, इसका जो body original था, it was called as International Meteorological Organization, IMO बोलते थे. Then it was renamed and reconstituted as WMO. इसका headquarters है Geneva. Headquarters is Geneva. Okay, it's almost like a global centralized body for all type of weather studies, predictions, forecasting models. Okay, they also track the cyclones and so on. You heard about this issue of how cyclones are named, सुना है आपने? So which body is responsible for naming of cyclones? Main body क्या है? WMO. WMO has delegated it. Okay, the delegation goes to certain regional specialized tropical centers. So अलग-अलग areas में अलग-अलग specialized centers हैं. In South Asia, it is India, Delhi, IMD. So the apex organization that does all the naming of cyclones is WMO. But WMO has delegated, it has given the powers to the regional centers. देख लो आप लोग. The naming of tropical cyclones has been delegated to the regional specialized centers, and to tropical cyclones monitoring centers, specialized regional centers and to tropical cyclones monitoring centers. IMD at Delhi is the main nodal agency. For naming of cyclones of northern Indian Ocean. For naming of cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean. And one more fact, ये जो regional centers North Indian Ocean का है, how many countries are members? Yes. Okay, the regional specialized center for northern Indian Ocean, this has 13 members. It has 13 members. ठीक है, includes UAE, Yemen, okay, Iran, India, and all of that. It includes 13 members. Just know this. So the naming is done by some mechanism, some formula. We'll discuss some other context में. Just know this much. So WMO, okay, 2-3 बार आ चुका है. You better focus on that. Okay. The next topic. I'm done with El Nino now. The next topic is something called as Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project. Kaladan, K-A-L-A-D-A-N, Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project. Transport Project. Okay. Now this is a bilateral, okay, project between India and Myanmar. Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project is a bilateral project between India and Myanmar. Okay, for developing transport corridors. For developing transport corridors. ये काफी साल से बन रहा था, but now what has happened is the shipment has started. That is the news. The shipment has started. So, इस project में क्या है? Now, when I use the word multimodal, it basically means there is sea, there can be railroads, there can be roads, okay, there could be river transport. जब ये मिल जाते हैं इसको बोलते हैं मल्टी मॉडल. वन मोड का मतलब है वन मीन्स ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. रोड इज वन मोड, रेलवे इज वन मोड. मल्टी मोड का मतलब है देयर इज सी, देयर इज रेल, इन सम प्लेसेस शायद एयर भी ऐड हो जाएगा, बट मोस्ट केसेस मल्टी मॉडल इंक्लूड ओके सी लाइंस, railways, roadways, and maybe river transport. River transport called as the inland water transport, IWT बोलते हैं. Okay, so if you look at what is being done, so that's India. Okay, so somewhere here, this is Kolkata. Somewhere here, okay, this is a place called as Sitwe in Myanmar. Sitwe in Myanmar. Sitwe se there are another centers here, and finally we have Mizoram ka Aizawl. Mizoram's Aizawl. Aizawl is the capital of Mizoram. Okay. So if I have to send something to Aizawl, the only route we otherwise had was I'll go through the land across Assam, then come down like this, then come down and come and reach here. This was a difficult process, long process, mountainous है, और ये बहुत narrow corridor है. So what we are doing is कि यहाँ से ऐसे नहीं जाकर we have found an alternative. Alternative कि Calcutta से आप पहले by ship जाइए to Sitwe, then there is some river here. Along the river, this is the Kaladan river. यहाँ पर है Kaladan river. फिर Kaladan river से you can use road and railway to reach the city of Aizawl. So rather than going like this, okay, now we are going to the ship here, and shipping is always cheaper. Okay, waterways are always cheaper. So from Kolkata, I'll come to Sitwe of Myanmar. From Sitwe, I will go to the river called as Kaladan, and then use railways to come and hit Aizawl. So India has started the shipment. Okay, yes, correct. Okay, yes, correct. So there is a place called as Paletwa, P-A-L-E-T-W-A. ये Sitwe है. Sitwe का जो transport है up to a city here called as Paletwa. Paletwa is the terminus of Kaladan. So Sitwe se Paletwa will go by the river. उसके बाद we will take up the road and the rails. अभी आपका roadways हैं, they also will develop the railways eventually. This is called as the Kaladan project. आपको जानना चाहिए the place called as Sitwe, the place called as Paletwa, the river called as Kaladan, and connecting Aizawl in Mizoram. ठीक है? This is one of the examples of transboundary transport corridors and networks. Transboundary, across the boundaries. Transboundaries, transport networks and corridors. This can open up the trade with the Southeast Asia. अगर ये हम कर पाएंगे, I can use Kaladan, the Sitwe also as some kind of gateways for other parts of Southeast Asia. It becomes an opening for accessing Southeast Asia. Remember, India has been running a project called as, or an approach called as, Look East policy. Look East policy, जो अभी हमने convert कर दिया है as Act East policy. Look East was made more aggressive. Look East में हमने cultural contact भी add कर दिया. And Look East is now becoming Act East policy, where India is trying to connect with ASEAN countries. So right on this point, that the Kaladan project was part of India's Look East policy, now renamed as Act East policy. The objective is to link and connect with ASEAN countries through trade, transport, and also strategic and security concerns. ठीक है, तो in your long answers, mains में, these discussions can be part of, what is Act East policy, what is being done, comment on India's ASEAN relationship. So this is considered as one of the steps towards that. अभी हम बताएंगे नहीं, but just know this. There's something called as Ganga Mekong project. So you can do this on your own. Refer to Ganga Mekong project. MEKONG, Ganga Mekong project. So here is the diagram here. If you all can see, that's Kolkata. If I go through land, the distance between Kolkata and Aizawl is more than 1300 kilometers. And it's arduous mountains. So now you have from Kolkata to Sitwe. That's about 539. And then from Sitwe, you have the place called as Paletwa. Sitwe, Paletwa is the Kaladan river. The Kaladan river. और यहां से you have got roadways coming to Aizawl. ठीक है? Mizoram has a boundary with Myanmar, not Tripura. ये common mistake हो जाता है. So how I remember is M for Mizoram, N for Myanmar. Tripura is further on the western side. So from Sitwe to Paletwa and then to Aizawl. So this is your Kaladan project. Oh, yes, these all PPTs we upload on your platform eventually. आप देख लेना उसमें. ठीक है? Fine. Back again. The next topic I'm discussing is Manipur rights. Manipur rights. Yes. Definitely. The military government of Myanmar, definitely there is an issue there. But वही कहीं ना कहीं we have decided कि not getting trapped in these governance dogmas. Our intention is we wish Myanmar becomes a democracy. We hope they become democracy. But till they become democracy, we will not go in boycotting and isolating them. So our approach से बोलते हैं कि we are trying to be more pragmatic. Like we hope, we wish, we will try to do whatever we can to stop Russia-Ukraine conflict. But we will not support the idea of sanctions against Russia and isolating them. So this is our official stance. कि हमारा जो political strategy है, it is about the inclusive approach. Fine, their government is something that we are not happy about because military governments हैं, but does not mean that I will reject the government entirely because that impacts our larger concerns. मैंने नहीं invest करना है, China ने कर देना है. Okay, the ultimately end of the day, they do want development for themselves also, money for themselves. So China has developed its Cocos Island. Cocos Island is not very far away from Sittwe. So we are seeing Sittwe as one of those activity centers. ठीक है? So the military junta government जो आपका म्यांमार में है, okay, that is not going to stop us from engaging with Myanmar. ठीक है? So ऐसा isolation policy हमने शायद सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के रखा हुआ है. Reason being that we have burnt our hands so many times. Okay, we have tried Agra summit, we have tried Lahore summit, we have tried to have our cultural diplomacy. Okay, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री उनके बेटे बच्चियों के शादी में भी घूम के आ गए. Okay, all that courtesy done, we invited them to our own oath-taking ceremony when our PM was taking. But ये सब कुछ करने के बाद में Pakistan refuses to back down from what they should do. तो जो isolation का policy है, हमने primarily for Pakistan किया हुआ है और उसमें भी we try to engage wherever we can. SCO में बुलाया ultimately, right? Part of our commitment to engage all the SCO members. Otherwise, with no country, we are looking for any type of isolation. It backfires. Sanctions backfire. और खासकर in conditions where China is a strong competitor. So एक article था IDSM, it says that India must not be leaving a vacuum in any region. आप vacuum छोड़ोगे कोई occupy कर लेगा. If I leave a vacuum because of whatever reasons, somebody else will occupy that. We don't want that to happen. So disagreement, there can always be differences in our approach and our working, but Myanmar is not to be isolated. ठीक है? Yes, we can't leave a vacuum there. Our work has become difficult, but then we also know that these are transition times. सब कुछ flux में है. Okay, कब कैसे change? I mean, nobody would have imagined 3-4 years ago कि US will walk out. कोई सोच ही नहीं सकता था. But हुआ है ऐसे. So हमारा काम मुश्किल हो गया है, but we say no, we'll continue. Okay, we have never been part of the military process there. हमारे humanitarian goes on, Operation Maitri will go on. Okay, we'll talk about digital support, we'll talk about training bureaucracy, all that goes on. Okay, so engagement is always our norm. Some of these topics are into IR, we'll see how we can cover all of that. Okay, let's move on now. The Manipur rights. The Manipur rights. Now, dekho, this is definitely a deeper concern. And more than Manipur itself, the whole Northeast could be a discussion point. ऐसे issues Nagaland में भी कुछ हैं. The disagreements that we have with people of the governments of Tripura, Assam में भी issues रहे हैं. So Manipur is one way of alert for us. So the immediate reasons are because the Metis or Metis, they are demanding a scheduled tribe status, and they have been doing this for a long time, demanding scheduled tribe status, and the High Court, Manipur mein, it directed the center, okay, to consider okay, Metis scheduled tribe status. क्या आप इनको दे सकते हो? Okay, तो ये जो direction था, this was a trigger. ये immediate cause है. Because of this directive, okay, the Nagas and the Kukis, they have protested. There was a solidarity march, and this became violent. I think all of us know this by now. Last 2-3 हफ्ते में चल रहा है. All of us, immediate cause क्या है? The demand by the Metis, scheduled tribe का status चाहिए इनको. Okay, and High Court says that this can be considered is almost like a directive here. And Naga Kukis, these are tribals populations, and they are challenging. This will create problems, inequalities in the Manipur society. So now we'll dwell a bit more deeper. Okay, deeper mein, you must know that Manipur, this has a boundary with Myanmar. Manipur has a boundary with Nagaland, of course also with Mizoram, and also with Assam. Manipur does not have a boundary with Tripura. ये आपको बताऊं, and these can be questions. It has a boundary with Myanmar, it has a boundary with Nagaland, Mizoram, and Assam. Okay, that's one. So there are boundary, and there are insurgency concerns. There are boundaries and there are insurgency concerns in Manipur. ये चीज जो है, ये historical problem रहा है. Okay, Manipur, because of tacit support from Myanmar, insurgents, smuggling going on, okay, till 2004, 2005, okay, from almost 1980s onwards, Manipur was declared as a disturbed state. Okay, a disturbed state. तो यहाँ पर, okay, armed forces का special Powers Act लागू था. Okay, Armed Forces Special Power Act was there, and because of this, and this had impacted the social and the tribal development issues. Social and tribal development issues. So what I'm saying is, Manipur में insurgency है, conflicts हैं, ये historical रहा है. Okay, and the older problem has been or had been the Kuki-Naga conflicts. This was more violent. Kuki and Naga, both are tribes. But the Kuki-Naga conflict became very bad, and other insurgency issues. Manipur declared as disturbed area. Okay, 2004-5 में ये हटा दिया गया. Okay, and since the condition had improved, but now we have a new problem. Okay, so know this. This could be a question. Armed Forces Special Powers Act. अच्छा, इसके बाद, in terms of the geography of Manipur, अगर approximately Manipur is like a rectangle like this, something of this kind. Imphal beach में है. If you look at the geography, there is a central plains area. Beach में एक plains है. और चारों तरफ, these are mountains. These are mountains. These are mountains. These mountains are Manipur Hills. Manipur Hills. These are part of what's called as the Purvanchal Hills. They are part of the Purvanchal Hills. They are extensions of Himalayas. The extensions of Himalayas. और बीच में एक valley region है. This is the plains. This is the Manipur plains. This is the Manipur plains, This is the Manipur Valley. Is plain valley mein, you must remember, okay, this is the valley of river Barak. This is the valley of river Manipur. Okay, यहाँ पर एक और river है, river YU. एक river है called as Langye River, Lanye. So these rivers, they are converging here. And this Manipur plain also has a lake called as Loktak Lake. It's a freshwater lake, Loktak Lake. और यहाँ पर एक type का material है that floats on the water. It's called as Phumdi. Yes, Phumdi. Phumdi. It floats. That's why the lake is considered as a floating park, a floating national park, a floating bird sanctuary. यहाँ पर भी tribes रहते हैं. Okay, there are tribes who live there and there are issues of ecology here. Okay, ऐसे ही Phumdi is like floating islands you have in many lakes, but ये वाला ज़्यादा prominent है. ऐसी islands Dal Lake में भी है. In Dal Lake they are called as Rads, RADDS. But Rads are not floating. I've heard about houseboats. Houseboats के साथ में small islands होते हैं. Okay, and the islands, small islands, hardly 30 meters across, 40 meters across. People live there, farming goes on, cultivation goes on. You can imagine the patches. They grow vegetables and they sell on those houseboats. Okay, so उसको rads of Dal Lake, but ये floating नहीं है. These are floating. Phumdi is floating. Okay, know this bit of geography. And ये Loktak Lake जो है, this lake is a HEP project also. It's called as the Loktak HEP project. Plus, ये Loktak Lake है, एक bird sanctuary है. The name of the bird sanctuary is Kaibul Lamjao. The name of the bird sanctuary is Kaibul Lamjao, Lamjao. Loktak Lake, Loktak HEP, the floating Phumdi, the national park, and the Kaibul Lamjao, okay, bird sanctuary, national park है ये. तो ये bit of geography है. And remember this, Manipur में जो plains हैं, the plains and the valleys, they make up about 10% of Manipur's landscape. The hills, these make up 90% of the Manipur's landscape. Okay, and the problem is ये जो valley region है, with 10% of the landscape, this has the Metis, and Metis make up almost 50 to 53%, and some say it has reduced to about 45% of the population. Whereas the hills make up 90% of the landscape, and we have got Nagas. Nagas make up 25% of the population, and the Kukis, they make up approximately 15% of the population. Baki are other populations, including a group called as Methi Pangals. Methi Pangals. Okay, these are a smaller group, 8% hai ye log. So these Metis are the Metis Hindus, largely. They make up this much. Nagas and Kukis, these are the tribal populations. Okay, these Methi Hindus, they are given the status of scheduled castes. They are given the status of protection of the language. So, जो Manipuri और Methi language है, it's part of the scheduled list of language in constitution. तो इनको कुछ मिला है protection, but they are not scheduled tribes. Okay, and Pangals are the Muslims of Metis. Okay, they are having influence from the medieval times, from Assam, from Bangladesh, from parts of Bengal. So these are the main four communities. Okay, Methi Pangals, Methi Hindus, and Nagas and Kukis, ये हैं tribes. Okay, So the primary conflict, the primary immediate conflict जो है, okay, it is essentially Meitei versus Nagas and Kukis. This is also synonymous with Hindus versus Christians and tribal cultures. It is also synonymous with non-tribes versus the tribal population. It is seen like this. इसका तीन form है. The conflict is Meitei versus Naga Kukis. This is obvious in terms of name of communities. Because Meiteis are Hindus, okay, and these are Christians and tribal, इसको communal form भी okay, discuss किया जाता है. Okay, Christian and tribal versus non-tribal. Okay, they are not considered as tribal according to India's constitution. They have the tribal status. Okay, now moving on, I said if I'm discussing the deeper issue में 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Okay, the first issue is there is a concern with Meiteis that they are majority population and they have very less land resource. They have control of only 10% of Manipur's land. तो ज्यादा लोग हैं हम लोग, 53% ऑफ पॉपुलेशन है, 50% पॉपुलेशन है, और हमें मिल रहा है सिर्फ 10% ऑफ लैंड. दिस इज देयर कंसर्न. इसका काउंटर क्या है? नागास एंड कुकीज, ओके, दे काउंटर दिस एंड दे से दैट मेइतीज दे कंट्रोल द इकोनॉमी. लैंड कम होगा, ओके, बट दैट इज नॉट अबाउट लेस रिसोर्स. दे पूरे इकोनॉमी उनके पास में, फार्मिंग उनके पास में, डेवलपमेंट ट्रेडिंग उनके पास में. Okay, so so Nagas and Kukis says that if Meiteis are given scheduled tribe status, it can become a kind of competition for the limited Manipur jobs and Manipur resources. So Nagas, Kukis are fearing कि अगर इनको दे दिया आपने स्टेटस तो हमारे जॉब से क्या होगा? हमारे पास वैसे भी इकोनॉमी नहीं है. 10% लैंड है, आप खेती तो कर रहे हो. 10% लैंड है, आपके पास तो ट्रेड है. हमारे पास 90% लैंड है, बट हमारी इकोनॉमी कहाँ है हमारे पास? If they are given the status, Meiteis probably will end up, and Meiteis have a better socio-economic status in terms of education, in terms of their eligibility, so they might miss out. Okay, this is the concern of the Nagas and the demands of the Meiteis. That's one. Are you all keeping pace with me, all of you? Online students, all keeping pace with me? All keeping pace with me? Yes? Okay, fine. The second problem is, now Meiteis, they claim that they are fundamentally tribals. Okay, they have been followers of Sanamahi religion. This is the tribal religion. They fundamentally say कि यार हम हिंदूज हैं, ठीक हैं, but we fundamentally are tribal. हमारा tradition रहा है Sanamahi religion. So we want to protect our culture. We want to promote our history legacy. Okay, and Meiteis in 1700s they had converted to Hinduism and they adopted. They had become Vaishnavites. They had adopted Hinduism and they had become Vaishnavites. तो बोलेंगे कोई रीजन ही नहीं है हमें नहीं देने का शेड्यूल ट्राइब स्टेटस, बिकॉज वी फंडामेंटली आर ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन. ये जो अप्रोच है वेयर अ कम्युनिटी कैन बी प्रैक्टिसिंग टू टाइप्स ऑफ कल्चर्स, इसको बोलते हैं सिंक्रेटिक कल्चर्स. तो Meiteis claim that they are syncretic cultures. Okay, Naga, Kuki again dispute this. जैसे इंडिया में सारे लोग तो सिंक्रेटिक हैं. Okay, all of them have some other legacy or history. अगर हम लोग क्रिश्चियंस हैं तो we also have some culture of tribes also. So ये जो सिंक्रेटिक कल्चर का एक्सक्यूज है, नागा कुकीज बिलीव, नागा एंड कुकीज का आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या है? that this is an excuse, या आप बहाना हम दिखा रहे हो to corner our scheduled tribe के benefits. तो ये एक झगड़े का पॉइंट है. All fine here? Okay. The third issue. Okay. Now this is cookies versus both Methi and also Naga. हालांकि ये अभी छुपा हुआ है because these two guys have come together. Otherwise cookies versus Methi and Nagas भी हैं. क्या issue है? Cookies. Okay. Nagas and Methis consider that cookies are not the indigenous populations of Myanmar. ये लोग आए हैं, not of Manipur. They have come from Myanmar. The cookies are not the indigenous populations of Manipur. They have been settled from Myanmar. Okay, because Myanmar के कोई king थे who was having atrocities against them. So Manipur's king said, okay, come and stay with us. They are like foreign settlers. Okay, and over time, what's happened is cookies have been demanding for a cookie homeland. Okay, they want a cookie state. The homeland not as a separate country, but more as a cookie state banao. So Nagaland के लिए Nagas के लिए Nagaland है. Okay, for Manipuris we have got. By the way, when I use the word Manipuri, it implies Metis more. When we say Manipuri language, okay, we imply the Methi language. Manipuri dance जो है, that is the Methi dance. Manipuri dance is typical Radha Krishna's stories. ठीक है? So Manipuris, Methis have Manipur state. Mizos have Mizo state. So why can't cookies have a cookie state? Okay, so cookies have been demanding for cookie homeland. So ये भी एक झगड़े का reason बनता है. Okay, so why I'm saying this that ये जो rights हुआ, the Manipur rights, they aggravated, ये बढ़ गया, aggravated when Anglo cookie war memorial was burned down. There is a memorial. There are a lot of memorials. Gate है. एक Anglo cookie memorial gate है. Anglo cookie war memorial gate. Okay. Plus there are a lot of stones. There are monolith stones लगाया गया है. Okay. And that gate was burned down. Okay. Burned down by Methis apparently. Okay. और ये cookie को और भड़का दिया. इसका reason सुनो. Now see, these cookies have fought with the British. When British was trying to recruit, army for World War, so cookie World War I के time में, I think 1919 की बात हो रही है. When the British wanted to have army, they started recruiting cookies, and the cookies have resisted that. We will not be part of your, for whatever reasons. And that led to Anglo cookie war. In Anglo cookie war, the cookies were oppressed. The rebellion was brutally brought down, which cookies consider as their freedom movement. Okay? So, in commemoration of the Anglo cookie war, the cookies, they are erecting certain memorials. But problem ये है, उस memorial में लिखा होता है in defense of the cookie homeland. तो आपने एक गेट बनाया है, उस गेट में लिख दिया आपने in defense of the cookie homeland. Now this is what is putting off both Nagas and Methis. बोले कि आप जो homeland कह रहे हो, are you saying Manipur is a homeland? आप तो आए हो म्यांमार से, तो ये homeland करके आप narrative change कर दे रहे हो, that Manipur is your land. I hope you got the point here. So Methis are challenged, even Nagas challenge this. In fact, in 2019, as a part of 100-year celebration, the cookies had planned कि across the state वो एक पत्थर, monolith पत्थर लगाएंगे और हर जगह लिखेंगे in reverence of, in defense of, in honor of cookie homeland. ओके, सो नागास का और मेतीस का एजेंडा बन गया, आप लगाओ हम तोड़ देंगे। ओके, ये जो आप बना रहे हो, आप एक कहानी बना रहे हो कि मणिपुर इज योर्स, मणिपुर इज द होमलैंड, यू हैव फॉट फॉर फ्रीडम। Naga says no, they were not fighting against British. They actually were fighting against the Manipur king, who was supported by the British. Okay, तो ये फ्रीडम मूवमेंट कुछ नहीं है, ये अपना ट्राइबल इश्यूज हैं, एंड उसको बहाना बनाकर दे आर शोइंग दैट दे आर फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिश ऑपरेशन एंड फाइटिंग फॉर फ्रीडम। सो ये कुकी, तो ये आपका बन जाता है क्वेश्चन फॉर योर प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस आल्सो, ट्राइबल अपराइजिंग्स में। ओके, बिकॉज ये न्यूज में है एंग्लो कुकी वॉर। ओके, आई होप यू गॉट द पॉइंट हियर। सो ये जो प्रोटेस्ट मार्च हुआ है, इसमें एंग्लो कुकी वॉर मेमोरियल गेट दैट वाज बर्न्ड डाउन, दैट बिकेम अनदर इशू ऑफ द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट। व्हाट आर द डीपर इश्यूज हम बात कर रहे हैं, ऑल फाइन हियर। तो कुकीज के लिए आई होप आप सब लिख पा रहे हो। ये 3-4 साल चला था, 1917 से 1919, 17, 18, 19, the 3-4 years of war था ये। World War I के टाइम में they were recruiting. All good here? The significance of Anglo-Kuki War Memorial Gate and the concept of Kuki as homeland. जैसे बोडो लैंड क्लेम किया जा रहा है, वैसे ही कुकी होमलैंड क्लेम करते हैं। तो नागाज एंड कुकीज बोथ से कि यार ये मणिपुर के लोग हैं ही नहीं, इनफैक्ट दे आर डिमांडिंग कुकी होमलैंड। ओके, तो इनको मणिपुर राइट्स क्यों दिया जाए? ऑल फाइन हियर। अच्छा, नाउ दिस द नेक्स्ट इशू, द फोर्थ इशू हियर। थर्ड क्या लिखा है आपने? फोर्थ इशू। नाउ फोर्थ इशू क्या है? नाउ अगेन दिस पार्ट ऑफ दैट पॉलिटिक्स हियर। फोर्थ इशू ये है that there is an act. अच्छा, before the act, let me go back to some bit of history of Manipur state. The history of Manipur state. Manipur was formally integrated with India in 1949. Okay, it was, okay, I think the king was Buddha Raja Singh. He was the king of Manipur, and he signed an agreement in Shillong. Okay, so Manipur king, okay, and the government of India, 1949 में sign किया, something like the instrument of accession that even Kashmir Raja had signed. Okay, after which, okay, Manipur became an integral part of India, and it was given the status of category C state. I hope you know, 3 तरह के states से, A, B, C and all that, ठीक है? It was given the status of category C state. And 1956 में, it became a union territory of India. Or I think 1972 में, it became a full-fledged Indian state. ठीक है? So, actually, Manipur has been a kingdom. A kingdom. And when British India was separating from British Burma, ये अलग हुआ, 1930s में अलग हुआ। जब अलग हो रहा था, then the Manipur king said, I want to be part of British India and not British Burma. So, in the time of India's independence, Manipur, like other princely states, got a independence type. But condition था, either join India or you join Pakistan. Either you join the domain of India or domain of Pakistan. Okay, तो उस बहस में 49 में the king agreed to sign, and some say, some people believe the signing was under pressure. Okay, duress था, जबरदस्त sign करा दिया. Okay, there's one group of Naga, Kukis and Metis who say that we want independent country. तो वो भी insurgency का reason रहा है. There has been a group of insurgents who have been trying for independence of Manipur. तो वो भी एक issue रहा है, but that has been now taken care of. But our point here is, ये जो state बना, this state and then union territory, right from beginning, right, from the beginning, there has been a constitutional and a legal separation of acts and rights between the valley of Manipur and the hills of Manipur. इसमें separation रहा है, शुरू से रहा है. right from the beginning, right from even it before it became a union territory. Okay, ये जो वैली ऑफ मणिपुर है और हिल्स ऑफ मणिपुर, इनमें सेपरेशन रहा है. Okay, मणिपुर was under two laws. ये दो अलग laws थे. One law was applicable only for the hills and the other law was applicable only for the valley. Okay, जो वैलीज में लॉ है ये हिल्स में ऑटोमेटिकली नहीं अप्लाई करते हैं. Okay, there was it is therefore we say the separation is not really only tribal non-tribal. The separation is not only Hindus and Christians. It is not simply geography. ये constitutional separation है. Our constitution has a provision called as 371C. Okay, it's something like Article 370. जैसे कश्मीर का अलग स्टेटस था, वैसे ही मणिपुर हिल एरियाज हैव बीन गिवन अ सेपरेट स्टेटस कि इनके अलग लॉज होंगे और इनके लॉज विल नॉट इंक्लूड द वैली लॉज. अब वैली में जो लॉ बना लो यहां पर डायरेक्टली लागू नहीं होगा. द मणिपुर हिल्स हैव अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल and a legal safeguard, have a constitutional and a legal safeguard act or legislative safeguard where the laws of the valley does not automatically apply to, the laws of the valley does not automatically apply to the hill regions of Manipur. ये हिल एरियाज के लिए देयर वाज अ बॉडी कॉल्ड एज स्टैंडिंग कमिटी. ओके, एंड दिस स्टैंडिंग कमिटी 72 के बाद में इज कॉल्ड एज द हिल एरिया कमिटी. ये अभी लागू है, HAC, हिल एरिया कमिटी, एंड देयर आर डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल्स आल्सो. हिल एरिया कमिटी एंड देयर आर डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल्स. सो आप कुछ भी लॉ यहां पास करोगे ना, the law must be put for the hill area committee to debate, to consider. If they agree and give their consent, तभी लागू होता है hills में. Otherwise, the valley cannot impose its laws on the Manipur hills. So Nagas and Kuki have a special protection. और इसके वजह से what happens is the population of valleys, Meiteis जो हैं, they can't buy land here. They can't own any resource here. Whereas the hill areas, they can come and buy land here. The hill areas can do commerce here, but these guys can't go here. You got the difference here now? So this valley region tell us, ये हम 50% लोग हैं, 10% land है, और आप हमें वो status भी नहीं दे रहे हो, plus हमारे laws यहाँ applicable नहीं हैं. It's like ये अलग state ही है, and I can't buy land here. And I can't have resources here. Whereas there's some allowing of the hill population to come and take land here and do economic activity. They can open shops here. Take all of you. अच्छा, there is one school of thought. Meiteis कहते हैं कि one state में दो law क्यों है? Have unified laws. Okay, why should one state have one law? Then these guys say it is for our protection. Okay, we are less people. We are not the most influential people. We are the tribal poor population. Okay, so हमें ये protection चाहिए. And after 370 removal, they have become scared. कि ये कुछ करके हमारा law भी हटा देंगे. And the effort is going on. So what happened is, इतना लिख लिया आप लोग, all of you fine here? Laws of the valleys are not applicable for the hills. They have a constitutional safeguard under Article 371C. Okay, fine. Now listen. What has happened is, 1960 में, there is a law called as Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act. 1960. There is a Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act of 1960. This act is applicable only to the valley and the plains. this is not applicable for the hills. Okay, how much land you can own and so on. जैसे कि non-Kashmiris could not buy land in Kashmir, something of that kind. I hope you got the point here. Non-tribals can't buy land in parts of the tribal areas of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh also. So इनका protections है. Okay, and this is under Article 371. अब क्या हुआ है? Starting, अच्छा, by the way, remember this. Valley, this is unending. It all depends on आप कहाँ से आ रहे हो. Valley and hills. I said hills have 90% land, but hills have about 40% population. Valley has 10% of the land, but 50% of the population. But अगर आप strength in the assembly देखोगे, it is a 60-seat assembly, जिसमें कि 40 seats belong to these. 90 belongs to these, and plus one which can be under reserve category. Okay, so the झगड़ा कैसे देखो? They say give us resource and hills. These guys say तो हमें सीट बढ़ाओ. Okay, make it proportional. आप 50 तो हम भी तो 40 हैं. हमें सिर्फ आप 20 क्यों दे रहे हो? Why? Okay, 50% क्यों दे रहे हो? Got the point here? अगर आप land यहाँ apply करोगे, ठीक है, तो हमें ये बढ़ा दो ना. Plus, I want special status here. So, in terms of representation, in terms of political clout, they definitely are more powerful. They are prosperous. They are more resource rich in terms of how they manage economic resources. Okay? So under this act, what has happened is 2015 May, the Manipur Assembly started talking about reform bills for these act. वो reform bills का agenda यही था कि this must be applicable to the hills. Plus they said hill area people can't buy land automatically here. जितने भी hill areas के लोग यहाँ काम कर रहे हैं, we want a registry done. All those who came to Manipur before 1951 are allowed. बाद में आए बाहर निकलो, you are non-Manipuris. Okay, इसमें कौन impact होने वाला maximum? Cookies, because cookies they came later on. Cookies are considered as outsiders. So अगर ये reform हो जाता है, okay, so the Naga cookies say ये reform बहुत smart है. आप narrative बनकर बोल रहे हो, one Manipur, one law, one people, ये one में तो हम तो खत्म हो जाएंगे. They believe a बहुत planned process है, where the Meiteis very smartly are trying to get control here. तो ये भी एक झगड़े का issue है. Okay? The reforms under Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act of 1960. और ये problem शुरू हुआ है 2015 onwards. 15 में the bills have been introduced. The 3 bill introduced किया गया है. One on that registry thing of population, one on the shops and establishment, and one on the land ownership and buying. इतना जरूरत नहीं है, but just know this. The conflict is also around, okay, economic resources, right to buy land, shop and establishment, and issues around if people before 91 will be allowed to be part of Manipur establishment or not. Where cookies are scared, they will lose out here. Okay? So if you look at the issue essentially is the Meitei population trying to expand their economic base. They are trying to expand their a hill area access. Okay. They are trying to maybe dominate ownership of the land of Manipur. And to do this, what Meiteis are doing is, number one, they are demanding for scheduled tribe status. Number two, they are challenging the Anglo-Kuki war as a war of freedom. Number three, they are trying to reform, okay, and amend Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act 1960. ठीक है? इसके अलावा एक और काम कर रहे हैं. Meiteis, what they are doing is, they are declaring the forest areas of Manipur hills as reserved forests, protected forests and wildlife sanctuaries. ठीक है? Because remember, forest management comes under concurrent and center. Okay, the right to declare is सब चीज, okay, the center can intervene. So when you start declaring hill areas as protected areas, क्या होगा वहां पर? आप tribes को हटाओगे वहां से? The last 2 years में this is going on. The Kukis and the Nagas are facing eviction because the forests are reserved forests now. And Kukis and Nagas ये बोलते हैं कि आप ये जो कर रहे हो, have you taken a permission of the hill area committee? हमें पूछा नहीं गया. No consultation done. You have declared the land as forest area. You are evicting us and you are breaking down our houses and churches. More than 30 churches and houses established have been impacted. Okay, so Naga Kuki say ये भी एक game चल रहा है. You are occupying our land, okay, in the name of environmental conservation. ठीक है? It's not enough. One more काम चल रहा है. Now, the government of Manipur, under anti-drugs program, is burning the poppy cultivations of the hills. Okay, poppy cultivation, okay, your narcotics control में, और hill area का main economy है poppy cultivation plus drug smuggling from Myanmar. So, on the face of it, government of Manipur is fighting drug menace. On the face of it, Manipur government is trying environmental conservation in the hills. On the face of it, Manipur government is committed to one state, one law, one community. Okay, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, Vasudev Kutumbakam. Okay. But Naga Kukis have an issue of distrust. So, under no circumstance, I can say that poppy, okay, stopping is bad. But when Naga Kukis see the story, they say, "Yaar, ये तो game चल रहा है हमारे साथ." तो आपने एक साथ क्या किया? 4-5 एक साथ कर रहे हो. भाई कहीं ना कहीं तो लगेगा ना. You want scheduled caste strike? It's like pressure from all sides. Okay, you are burning our memorials. You want land reforms. You are declaring protected forests, plus you also destroy economy. तो आप तो हमें गरीब करके बेघर करके निकाल दोगे. Okay, and then you want special status here also. So the issue of the conflict has a deeper history. The way the state was formed, the ways the laws have been enacted, okay, the problems around constitutional safeguards, and maybe the allegations. The government of Manipur, which has a majority in the Manipur assembly, they are deliberately trying to compromise Nagas and Kukis status and their economy. Is it okay, all of you here? I hope you wrote some of this. In fact, why I've been a bit faster is because I am planning to release one video on this. Okay, so जब आप news पढ़े ना, all of you online, आप ये चीज का ध्यान रखना, all of you. The news is not so much about the obvious development. You must be eyeful about the related stories also. So आप जब news पढ़ें, who are Meiteis, who are Nagas, who are Kukis is very elementary. The deeper stories. What about 371 article? Achha, there's one concept called as inner line permit. सुना आपने ये line term? So with the Manipur, okay, Land Reform Act जो है, what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop a kind of an inner permit line around the valley. कि हम लोग बाहर जा सकते हैं, but आप अंदर नहीं आ सकते. We can own land in the forest, okay, but I will not allow you guys to come and own land in our valleys. तो एक टाइप का बाउंड्री बनाया जा रहा है. Something on the lines of inner line permits. In Northeast में, okay, it had been an issue. So I think some of these concepts we can take up under governance and polity issues also. But if you know this much, you have a fair idea about the Manipur crisis. All good here? Online, is it fine? So ये आपका summary है. The genesis of the problem. नहीं लिखा तो लिख लीजिए आप लोग please. One is the scheduled tribe status of Meiteis, the Anglo-Kuki War, and the memorial. Okay. The Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act 1960. और इसमें amendments किए जा रहे हैं. Okay, since 2015 onwards. Then I said declaring the forest areas under reserved forest, protected forest, and wildlife sanctuaries. And the issue of anti-poppy drive, anti-poppy cultivation, and crackdown on the trans-border drug smuggling between Manipur and Myanmar. That's why you must know the border of Manipur. In a बहुत problem है drugs के use का in northeast बहुत बड़ा problem है. In fact, all border areas of India because of smuggling. ठीक है? Two more quick issues. Already I've crossed enough time. Okay. I don't know, you think मैं ज़्यादा पढ़ा दिया या maybe I should have controlled a bit. One news is, you must know about Railway Vikas Nigam Limited, RVNL, Railway Vikas Nigam Limited. Okay, this is declared as Navratna now. It has been given Navratna status, PSUs mein. It was declared as Mini Ratna in 2013. 2013. And iska main objective hai, to implement railway projects, railway infrastructure projects, to implement railway infrastructure projects and develop them on fast track basis. And develop them on fast track basis. Okay? It also manages extra budgetary requirements for project completion. Extra budgetary requirements for projects completion. Essentially क्या है? Railways में you have got a budget, part of the rail budget. But in the projects what happens is they want more than the budget. Who will manage that? So in 2003 this was made. ये लोग manage करेंगे extra budget from somewhere. Plus they will help execute the project fast. But they will not operate it. वो खत्म होने के बाद में they will hand over the project to the relevant zonal railway headquarters. So if I ask you this question, ये पूछा हुआ question था, okay, Railway Vikas Nigam Limited performs holistic function of completion, operation, maintenance of project. Wrong. It only does what? It arranges for funds, it helps develop the project, implement the project and handovers. It does not run the project, it does not maintain the projects. Okay, this was the news. And Railway Vikas Nigam Limited is 100% owned public sector undertaking. It's 100% owned PSU under the Ministry of Railways. Under the Ministry of Railways. Essentially, ये project मतलब construction execution में आते हैं and to raise funds, not for operations. Now, because ये news में है, I'll expect that economy में you must revise what are mini ratnas, what are Navratna projects, and what are Maharatna PSUs. That's going to be your responsibility. ठीक है? This was one short news, all of you. इसके अलावा there is one app launched called as Krishi Mapper, KRISHI, Krishi Mapper, MAPPER, Krishi Mapper. This is an app for geospatial data in agriculture. Map for geospatial data in agriculture. mapping water resources, crop resources. It manages, agriculture, land management. Okay, it's an app for geospatial data in agriculture. This can be a state question. What is it? Yeah, that's about it. So we'll continue with this next week again. Revise all of this. Yes, I will recommend that. Okay, देखो current affairs में nothing is enough. Okay, कुछ enough नहीं होता. But progress होना चाहिए. अगर appreciation आ जाएगा ना और आप पढ़ना सीख गए, be with the process for 1 or 2 months. Trust me, आप सीख जाओगे कैसे पढ़ा जाता है current affairs, and not mechanical memorization. ठीक है? So next week again, and by then I'll set up the process for other aspect of current affairs also. Bye all of you. Have a happy day. Okay, whatever remains of your day.